Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something channel.
Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
October 17th, 2017.
And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking
we're going to move away from the Savage Academy Awards to something so deadly serious that I was reluctant to get into it. But we're going to go to Vegas together, and not in a Hollywood way. We're going to go in a way that Jimmy Kimmel, Robert De Niro, Harvey Weinstein, and even the victims of predatory behavior dare not go. Because I saw a story yesterday that really disturbed me. Mandalay Bay security guard bolts. We heard about that. Where is he? He was ready to give an interview and disappeared. No one knows where he went. The FBI has wiped witnesses' phones. The timelines have changed. And yesterday we learned from the all-news pipeline that an eyewitness to multiple shooters was found dead in bed. I realize it didn't make it to the television screen, but it made it to my mental screen. This is shocking. There was no ambiguity to this story to 28-year-old Kimberly Suchmal's assertion that there was more than just one shooter. She specified it. She highlighted it multiple times in her Facebook post, which were offered just 72 hours after the massacre in Vegas. And she described what happened when the bullets started flying on October 1st, 2017, at the Route 91 Harvest Festival as people were running for their lives. Well, I'm not going to read it to you, but she says there were two shooters. And she says about 15 seconds before the volley of shots were fired into the crowd, someone set off firecrackers. And Ms. Suchmal made it clear in caps that they were indeed firecrackers, stating this: from about 50 feet in front of us and a little to the right, firecrackers were set off. Let me repeat that. She said firecrackers were set off. Well, what happened? Slightly after 8:30 a.m., on the morning of October 9th, Miss Suchmal was found dead in her bed. According to a report from a local news affiliate, the eyewitness's husband left for work around 4:30 a.m., and a grandmother came to care for their child and found her. According to her grandmother, Mrs. Suchmal suffered from epilepsy, specifying that her granddaughter had suffered a few focal seizures, but she was dead. She had simple partial seizures, which are different from grand mal seizures, but they wouldn't explain her death. Now, a while back on my show, on October 4th, we had a caller, Gail, who says, and you got to listen to this very carefully, that she heard multiple shooters. We're going to play that tape from beginning to end right now at the home of God, Faith, and Reason, the Savage Nation. We have a caller right now, Gail, calling from Las Vegas on KBET. She was in the crowd. She was shot at. She has something to say that you're not going to hear from Jonas Schimmel on NBC. Gail, line 7, go ahead. You have the floor.
Oh, hi there. First off, I've never been in the military, and I'm not a pro by any means on guns or anything like that. But when we were running, because we were out in the open and everything, we were running near the vendor tents, and we were just, easy shots. There was a Metro police officer out there that saw us running, and he ran and he grabbed me and pulled my husband and him into the vendor tent. They're like little plastic tents. And we went down, and we could hear all the shooting, and we would hear them load and then stop shooting, or, shoot and then stop shooting and load. And while we were laying there, this officer was covering me because of all the shots. And the thing that we noticed, and my husband noticed too, and I think even the Metro Police officer, there were shots that were higher pitched. There were shots that were lower sounding. And they were going at the same time, and the lower shots were getting closer to us. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's somebody walking in the crowd, spraying their gun back and forth and shooting people. And he was getting closer. The shots would stop. The officer got up and walked out, and I heard his radio because I was right there. And we heard, we have active shooters. And then my officer who was protecting me said, where is he? Where is he? Do you see him? Is he behind us? Do you have a visual? And then the shot.
So you're saying there was a shooter in the crowd going around shooting people in the crowd?
We don't know, and that's what my husband and I are trying to figure out.
But you said you heard two different types of gunfire. We have a caller on the line who has been gracious enough to stay over. She's Gail. She's calling from Las Vegas on my affiliate KBET. She was actually shot at. She's not a late-night crybaby comedian making believe he knows what the hell he's talking about. She was shot at. She said she heard two different types of sounds, meaning two different types of guns. But worse than that, in terms of this investigation that's being covered up, she said she believes there was a man going through the crowd, shooting at people in the crowd. Gail, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Welcome back. Thanks for staying on the line. Please tell your story all over again to a brand new audience on the Savage Nation.
Okay. Well, when we were first there, we heard the popping of the sounds, and we thought it was a firecracker, you know. And it was only like, 3 or 4 pop, pop, pops. And then it got quiet, and then a couple more pop, 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 pops, and then it just started spraying. It just nonstop bullets shooting. So everybody started running, and we just ducked. My husband and I, we just went on the ground and froze. And I remember, there's a girl that was standing right next to me that was shot in the stomach, and she had a huge bullet wound in her stomach. It was huge. It wasn't a little tiny thing, and she was bleeding profusely. It was horrible, and then people were just freaking out, and so everybody ran, and we were just still standing there, and my husband said, Gail, we gotta go, we gotta run, we're gonna get shot. So we got up and we started running toward the vendor tents. They're the white plastic tents, and there was a Metro Police officer that was out there, and he saw us running, and he said, come here, get here, and he grabbed me, and he pulled us inside the tent, and we went down, and the shots kept going and going, and then they would stop, and then we were like, okay, it's okay, it's all over, and then they would start all over again, and it seemed to me, and I'm not a pro on guns and bullets, anything, but there was like higher sounding bullets and then a really lower, deeper bullet. And as we were laying there, it sounded like the shots were getting closer to us. And I'm going, oh my God, we're going to get shot. They're going to see us in this tent. Because it seemed like somebody, I'm not saying this by any means, but to me, it sounded like somebody was actually walking from the crowd from west to east through the crowd and shooting, because everybody was going in one direction because there was no way out. And then they would stop, and then it would be like higher pitches and then no sound. So, and then the sound would start again, but they were on top of each other, it sounded. I was freaking out, obviously.
Well, hold on, you just said they would be on top of each other, meaning the higher sounding bullet and then the lower sounding, or let's say the sound of one gun higher, then lower, and they were coming at you at the same time?
Yes, they sounded at the same time, and the one that was lower kept getting closer sounding to us. And I'm thinking, your brain goes through all these images and thoughts, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it sounds like there's somebody on the ground that is shooting. And what was so bizarre about this is that Mandalay Bay was on our right, this creep was on the 32nd floor, and the girl that was standing right beside me, maybe 7-8 inches behind me, got shot straight in her stomach, right above her belly button. Now, how does a bullet come straight down and make a left turn and hit her in the stomach. And I don't understand it. It was.
Wait, hold on. I don't understand. So the hotel is on the right, but she got shot from the left?
She got shot straight in the center. We were facing due south. Mandalay.
So you were facing away from the hotel? Gail, I want to be clear. You were facing away from the hotel?
Our right shoulder would be facing Mandalay Bay.
Okay, on the right shoulder, there's the hotel. Now, your stomach is facing diagonal to that hotel. And you're saying the girl next to you was facing in the same direction as you and your husband?
Yes, we were both facing west.
Okay, so you're asking how could she get struck directly in her stomach from that direction when there was allegedly no shooter there?
Well, see, that's what's so bizarre, because I even thought that. Because how could a bullet be coming from our right, which was on our west? We're facing direct south. A bullet would have to come straight up and make a 90-degree left turn and go into her stomach.
Gail, has anyone from L.A. Las Vegas Metro interviewed you?
Yeah, not from there, but I've had other interviews with, like, CBS, and I was mentioned at the White House by Sarah Huckabee. You know,
But did you tell the story that you just told about two different sounds of two different sounding guns?
Facing south, yes.
No. Did you tell that? Did you tell what you just told my audience to the other folks who have interviewed you? Did you say that exact thing?
No, because no one asked me that.
Oh, no one asked you that. The Knishes in the media didn't ask you that.
No.
A hot dog has more analytical ability than most people in the media. Gail, listen to me. What you have just said on this program will make the news.
No.
I'm not going to divulge your name. I don't want you to be exposed to this. Frankly, if I were you, Gail, I would not give any more interviews. Listen to me very carefully, Gail.
Yes, sir.
Please do not give any more interviews. Do not divulge your name. Disappear into the night, Gail.
Well, they're finding me. I don't know how, but I haven't given any interviews except to the CBS, and they're very gracious, you know. And
well, they're very gracious. Be careful with them. They're not very gracious. They're very dangerous. Gail, I'm going to let you go because I don't want you to be on this phone any longer. I just want to thank you for surviving and for being an eyewitness to an American tragedy.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something channel.
All right, so I went from fun to not fun. So I'm going to ask you a question. You heard the woman who said there were two shooters. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think Vegas and the fires are terrorism related? And why do you think so? Moreover, what are you doing to protect yourself and your family if we are under assault and the government's hiding it from us? Or do you think it's just conspiracy theories and there are perfectly reasonable explanations for Vegas? I don't know what that might be. And for these fires that keep breaking out, whether they be in the wine country, which are not over, by the way. The air where I live is horrible again. I'm choking here. I'm behind air conditioning. I can't bicycle. I can't go out. I'm not crying. I didn't have a fire, but the air stinks again in the San Francisco area. Fires broke out in the Santa Cruz area. Now there are brush fires in the Sausalito area, which is south. So, they're all spontaneous, I recognize, because Jerry Brown knows that they're all as a result of global warming, and I know he tells the truth. But someone who I rely upon for almost ESP insights sent me an email just now after listening to that tape replay and asked this question. Is the caller describing a shotgun when she says lower and the huge stomach gunshot wound? And then she asks, where are the autopsies on the victims in Las Vegas? Good question. Where are the autopsies on the victims? I guess in the same place that the Supreme Court justice who was found dead in a sleazy motel on the Mexican border is. Remember there was no autopsy? Oh, you forgot that one already? You forgot what happened? Oh, you don't even remember his name? You forgot his name already? The one who went to a sleazy motel on the border with Mexico and was found dead with a pillow over his face, and there was no autopsy. Do you know that when a bum falls dead in the streets of any city in America, by law there must be an autopsy? Did you know that? And here was a Supreme Court justice under Barry Hussein Obama who died suspiciously with a pillow over his head in a sleazy motel on the Mexican border, and there was no autopsy. His ashes were, he was burnt immediately. No government relationship there at all. They weren't just trying to stock the Supreme Court with another psycho-lib from hell. No, he died spontaneously while eating a spaghetti and meatball dinner. So there was no autopsy when a Supreme Court justice dies in a sleazy motel. There's no autopsies that we, the dumb American people, can see about from Vegas. No, we don't have any right to them. Instead, we just have a right to watch the filth and the slime that is put out from the sewer pipe that runs from Hollywood to the minds of the world. And you wonder why traditionally religious people, like traditional Jews, don't watch movies or television, or why Muslims hate Hollywood and hate the filth that Hollywood's been pumping out into the world. Do you remember years ago I said to you, when we hear that the Muslim world is incensed at America because of this, because of that, and I said, no, it's because of the filth, the Hollywood sewer pipe. You can just as soon blame the filth purveyors like Harvey Weinstein. I told it to you then. I'll say it to you again. I will tell it to you again until you hear me. You think that the Muslim world is incensed only because of our geopolitical actions? You'd be mistaken to find out that many of them are quite rational and reasonable, and traditional Muslims are as offended as are traditional Christians and Jews by the filth that is being pummeled into the heads of the world from the sewer pipe of Hollywood. How many times have I said the sewer pipe of Hollywood? You think I'm surprised by the human slug, Weinstein's behavior? I'm not offended by it because I expected it. I didn't go on. You look at the guy, you know what he is. Okay, so now we're coming up to the biggest stories, which is the lies of the media, the lies of the government, the Vegas shooting, and the fires in California. And I'll ask you again, there's only one open line, better grab it. Do you think Vegas and the fires are terrorism? If so, what are you doing to protect yourself and your family? You want to get real? Get real. Or if you don't believe in it, go the other way. We have people who say, no, it's not real. And they're going to say why. We have ballistics experts calling, acoustical experts calling, and they have varied opinions. What do you think? 855-400-SAVAGE.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something channel.
Well, will we rise from the ashes like Phoenix? America's in very bad shape right now, despite the happy faces, despite the double talk from the media-ites. And I think the Harvey Weinstein scandal is part of the mystique of the media lies. Remember, they control. Never forget that those who are running the news business also run the movie business. You mustn't ever forget that. There was a time when the news business was separated from the movie and entertainment business. And then they merged. Remember I warned you about beware the interlocking corporate directorships? That's an interesting statement because it used to be a watchword of the liberal left in the 60s. I remember the 60s very well. There was a lot of wisdom in it. That statement in particular. Look into interlocking corporate directorships. So when you have the same titans who control movies and control the news, what do you think is going to happen when they don't want the news to go a certain way? Why, they're going to change it, or they're going to ignore it, or they're going to block it. Now you know why the truth teller Michael Savage is never seen on television. Now you know why a best-selling author is never seen on television. Now you know why truth tellers are rarely seen on television. I didn't say they're all liars, don't get me wrong, but there's only so far they can go. Well, there's only so far I can go. You think I'm crazy? You think I want to go into areas that I shouldn't venture? I do all the time. But only I can go so far, and then eventually there is quicksand. And do I have to tell you what happens when you step beyond the swamp into the quicksand? I think all you got to do is look back upon the Supreme Court justice who died mysteriously in a sleazy motel on the Mexican border, and there was no autopsy, no cover-up, no coverage by the media. I don't think you have to look any further than the reports of 2 shooters in Las Vegas and such. And here in California, I'm telling you, there's something very creepy and suspicious about these fires. We learned just yesterday that Portugal and Spain reported that the fires were set by Islamofascists. They said it was terrorism. Why is it that in Portugal and Spain they have a more honest press than we have here? How is it that backwards Portugal and primitive Spain had an immediate report that the fires in their forests were set by ISIS, and we here in America are so stupid that we believe the fantasies of Rob Reiner and Harvey Weinstein? What do you think? Do you think Vegas and the fires are terrorism? And if so, have you changed your behavior? What are you doing to protect yourself and your family? Do you know if this is going to end tomorrow? I mean, you have any security that this is going to end tomorrow? Trump gave a little radio tour today. Unknown radio hosts. I never saw anything like this on tax reform. He wasn't on Rush. He wasn't on Savage. A radio show with people who no one ever heard of. And one of them was a guy who attacked him during the primaries. He went on a show of a guy who attacked him during the primaries. Now, I ask you, who's running the Trump campaign? And it's still a campaign, by the way. The campaign never ended. It has never ended. Do I blame the president? Do I blame the people around him? He finally does talk radio this morning, and he goes on shows that no one ever heard of, doesn't go on Rush, doesn't go on Michael Savage, and to top it off, he goes on a show with a guy who stabbed him in the back during the primaries. So who is setting him up for a fall? That's what I want to know. It seems like there is communications terrorism going on inside the White House. Hey, that's a good one. Communications terrorism going on inside the White House, where they're setting the president up for a fall by putting him on a show on a guy who stabbed him in the back during the primaries. And then says to this audience, well, maybe we'll do your show one of these days. Maybe we'll do Rush one of these days, but not right now. We'll go on these shows that no one ever heard of. You talk about firecrackers going off. KSFO, Kirk, what do you think of the fires and the terrorism in Vegas?
Yes, sir. So I have a pen pal over Facebook who is a Portuguese soldier, and he sent me information about the fires that were sparked in Portugal and Spain, and it's the same scenario we experienced in the North Bay. Started late at night, early morning, various different locations all at once. This is not just a coincidence. This is a pattern. And our government better get it right. I'm 34 years old, Dr. Savage. I'm fed up. I see things for...
Well, wait, why is it that the people in Portugal and Spain know more about the fires than we do here? What the hell is going on in this country?
I have no clue, sir. It is a diversion. It's a smoke screen is what it is. They are allowing...
Oh, yeah, like the Harvey Weinstein scandal is real, that's for sure. But it's not as... Wait, the Harvey Weinstein scandal is real for sure. However, it should not have been as prominently displayed as it has been, and that's because they're covering something up.
They sure are, Dr. Savage, and it does not take a rocket scientist to see it for what it is.
And what about the pot farmers in Northern California? Why have we heard nothing about the decimation that they are doing to this state of ours? They have destroyed the groundwater, they have destroyed the creeks, they're destroying the forests, and not one word from that moonbeam up there in Sacramento. Instead, he blames God and global warming. Why doesn't he talk about the destruction of our environment by the marijuana growers who are polluting our airs, waters, and places? And by the way, how do we know some of these fires are not related to the growing houses up there in Sonoma? How do we know that?
We don't know that, but let me say this one thing. If this is a terrorist-started fire by Islamic fascists, whatever we want to call them, we know who they are. They're cavemen. The bottom line, they're cavemen. They have done more damage than they could have done with their own damn Air Force, what they've done here in California. They are doing more damage in Spain and Portugal than they could do with ground troops. This is out of control. We know.
Well, then we have a solution to that problem as well. We have a solution to the Islamo-fascist invasion. Unfortunately, the man we elected to clean up the mess that Obama created has been hamstrung at every turn by not only the deep state, but the quicksand that he has stepped into. Thank you for the call. I'll leave it at that. What do you think out there? Any answers to these questions, or you've moved on? Not interested anymore? Now you're interested only in the sleaze of Hollywood? This is very interesting. First, Hollywood uses the sewer pipe to pump sleaze into your brain, and you say, well, it's okay. Now they're pumping a story about the sleaze manufacturer into your brain as though that's news. I want you to think about the irony of that. One of the chief purveyors of sleaze, Harvey Weinstein, has now become a bigger story than the sleaze he manufactured. So now, not only do we regale in the sleaze that he produced and pumped out through his sewer pipe, we're now interested in the sleaze maker himself. And while we're doing this, we're ignoring the bigger stories, which are the fires that don't seem to be ending, the Vegas shooting, which keeps getting stranger and stranger by the day, and there's no coverage of it to speak of. There's little bits here and there. But by and large, the socialist media, if you want to even give them a title that's dignified, I wouldn't even call them a socialist media. I would just say the propaganda ministry. I mean, I did read my 1984 and Brave New World. The propaganda ministry continues to divert us. You know, it's that simple. What do you think, though? You think I'm crazy? You think that it's all made up? You think there's a perfectly rational explanation for all these fires in California that don't seem to end? And by the way, it hasn't ended. I told you new ones are breaking out. Yes, June is breaking out all over. So you don't know which way to turn. I don't want to hear it anymore. Might go back to the Academy Awards thing. It's not funny. I don't know what to do about it. I don't feel good. Can't you talk about something else? Not right now. I'm not ready to read from God, Faith, and Reason. I will when the books are hardcover in my hand, and you could actually hold a copy and I can start reading it with you. I'll read from it. Until then, I'm not reading from my book. It'll fall on deaf ears. And I do want God, Faith, and Reason to rise on the charts, not because I'm going to buy a new car. I don't need one. Not that I'm going to buy a new house because I don't need one. Most of the money will be given away at the end of the day. Because I want to see the word God on the top of the New York Times bestseller list. I want to see the word God prominently as number one on Amazon. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? When have you last seen the word God in a book title on the New York Times bestseller list? I don't remember. Maybe there is one. When have you last seen the word God as number one on Amazon? I don't know. Maybe there is one. I don't know of it. Well, I want this one to be that one. I want the word God to appear everywhere, and it can only be done if the book hits the top of the list. The rest is up to God, meaning it's in God's hands, meaning it's in your hands. It's not up to me. So I'm not going to read from it. I am not going to kill myself by promoting that book, telling you to go out and buy the book. I'm not doing it. I want you to just buy the book and read the book, and if you think it's worthy, buy another one for someone else. That's all. Or buy 10 more, but I'm not doing it anymore. I want to get back to Vegas. I want to get back to the fires. I have people I know who are, here, I just got one from London. A friend of mine flew to London yesterday. I don't believe this. Here's a friend of mine from San Francisco, a good friend, a physicist, who said he arrived in London, woke up at 9:15 p.m. from jet lag by several very loud rapid-fire gunshots. I called the police, 999. We are near Kensington Palace, Israeli and Romanian embassies. For the moment they have stopped it, hear sirens shortly before they stop. I had this feeling this trip would be an adventure, still groggy. Gunshots starting again 9:45 p.m. local time. Very close, we are staying away from windows. And then he sends a quote from Winston Churchill. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is, Winston Churchill. And now you know why Winston Churchill was hated by the socialist left. The truth is very painful to live with. It's much easier to watch the products of the sewer pipe of Hollywood than it is to face the facts of reality. What's interesting to me on the sports front, we know the sports and entertainment are diversions, and we all love them, is that the sports have now become unwatchable because of the haters of America who get down on the knee to spit on our flag. I know Hillary says that's not an act of malice against America, but you know she's a liar through and through. Why don't you just Google for a moment the Clinton Foundation and the Russian uranium deal? Some new news came out on that, which I'll give you when I come back. The Russian uranium deal. The Clintons and the Russian uranium deal. The Clintons and the Russian uranium deal. Russia, uranium, Clinton. Uranium, Russia, Clinton. Clinton, Russia, uranium. Clinton, uranium, Russia. Russia, uranium, Clinton. Why don't you do that a little bit? See what happens. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something channel.
This is Talk Radio 560, KSFO.
So, I just got a story that I'm going to read to you in a minute that's shocking. We're talking about conspiracy theories, and you're dismissing it if you're a rational person, saying it's all radio BS. I'm a smart person. I don't believe it. I like Savage, but he's off on this one. An ICE detainer has been issued for a suspected wine country arsonist in Sonoma. He's in jail. It came out on Breitbart just a short time ago. An illegal alien, shall I say a Mexican illegal, was arrested for starting the fires, some of them. Now, before I get into that story, I'm going to do something that's important to those of you who actually work for a living. And that's buying shirts. You may think it's a joke, but you still have to go to work every day. And I'm going to give you some career advice, which is simple. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Whether you are dressing for work or dressing to go out, people happen to notice the clothes you wear. It's why I wear Charles Thierry. We all love quality clothes, but until now your options were brutal. It was either high quality, ridiculously overpriced shirts, or you could buy affordable, out-of-style shirts that wrinkle the minute you put them on. CT shirts are the best shirts I own. They're British styled using the softest fabrics. They're the most exquisitely crafted, crease-free shirts I've ever worn. Tie or no tie, tucked or untucked. You're going to get the compliments you deserve in a CT shirt. And here's a deal I got for you. One CT shirt normally costs $100, but right now you'll get 3 shirts for $99. That's 60% off, and CT shirts come with free delivery, a 6-month quality guarantee, and free returns. It's simple. $99 for 3 amazing CT shirts, but please hurry. Go to ctshirts.com/savage. Simple. ctshirts.com/savage. That's all there is to it. ctshirts.com/savage. Now back to the news. ICE detainer issued for suspected wine country arsonist in Sonoma County Jail. Just came out on Breitbart. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, the enemies of Jerry Brown, the enemies of the sick, dirty, filthy judges in black robes, the enemies of the ACLU who should all be deported, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency just issued a detainer request on the Sonoma County Jail for Jesus Fabian Gonzalez, who was arrested on Sunday on suspicion of arson in wine country fires that have killed at least 40 people. Breitbart News reported earlier this week that Sonoma County sheriffs had arrested Jesus Fabian Gonzalez, age 29, at Maxwell Regional Park in Sonoma County after a series of reports of ongoing fires in the region. Mr. Gonzalez was observed around 3 o'clock wearing a jacket and walking out of the creek area and a plume of smoke behind him, according to the Santa Rosa Press-Democrat. Mr. Gonzalez, who was homeless and known by law enforcement to have been living under a nearby bridge, said he was cold and had lit a fire to stay warm. But it was a balmy 78 degrees when he and the plume of smoke were first seen. Gonzalez was booked into the Sonoma County Jail for suspicion of felony arson. Bail set at a steep $110,000. Now, wait, it gets even sicker. The vermin in the American Civil Liberties Union argues that detainers are a violation of, quote, unreasonable searches and seizures under the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment. Let me tell you something, and I'm not going to blow up right now. I wrote Stop the Coming Civil War. Well, we stopped it, but guess what? They never stopped. And who is they? The armies of illegals, the armies of Islamo-fascists, the armies of liberal lawyers, the armies of liberal psychopaths in the media. The armies of the liberals have never stopped their civil war against our survival. We have to go back and understand that this war was started and it never stopped. We may have withdrawn when Trump won. We thought that we were going to be able to relax. What happened was they encircled him, and now he is almost powerless in many ways. He's almost a figurehead, I'm sorry to tell you. And the vermin on the left, like the ACLU, have doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, and are now working overtime to force their demented minds upon this nation. Here is a guy arrested for starting the fires in Sonoma, and the ACLU says that detainers are a violation. The Sonoma County Sheriff's Department says no person shall be held solely on the basis of their immigration status. Well, why don't you just go ahead and release Mr. Gonzalez? Go ahead, Sonoma County. Release the arsonist, the alleged arsonist. Go ahead. Make my day. Go release Mr. Gonzalez and let him flee back to his filthy third world cesspool that he loves so much. Go ahead, Sonoma County. Release him.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something channel.